Hi there. Today we're going to learn to make these puffy slippers that will be for anyone in your family. They're really great. They're very high loft, and when you step on them they're like cushioned, and they're just a lot of fun, and they're very warm. Plus they have a great checkerboard design, which is a favorite for a lot of people. So first I'm going to tell you what you're going to need. You're going to need some yarn. I use acrylic yarn because it can be washed readily and easily. It doesn't lose its size or shape. Like this was a wool yarn that I used, and we washed it and it felted the slipper. So you want to make sure you have acrylic or something that's washable wool. Okay, then you also need a pair of knitting needles. Now we're going to talk about gauge in a little bit. I use size 9s. I use circulars because that's what I just really like, because I can slide my work down on the needles, and the needles aren't long and get in the way of my arms on my chair. But you might like straight needles. My mom works with size 6 straight needles, so she knits a lot looser than me. I knit really tight, so I guess it's the tension thing. Everybody's got their own, and you just got to figure out which size needle you need to make the right size slipper, or your slipper will come out too big or too small. And then you need a pair of scissors just to cut the yarn, and you also need I like to have a ruler or a needle gauge. This one I got from Knit Picks, and it has both, so I can slide my needle in the hole and find out what size I'm actually working with. So how this one just goes in the 9 just about right. We can see it's a size 9 needle then. If I put it in the 8, it doesn't go through at all, and if I put it in the 10, it's wobbly. So 9 is the right size for this one. This also has like a gauge on it here, like to magnify, so you can, if you can't read your pattern very well, you can just slide that over it and it magnifies it really nicely. And it also has a ruler with centimeters and inches on it. So this is just a perfect tool for me. One tool in my box and it does like 4 things. Okay, so then the last thing you need is a yarn needle to sew the slippers together. So you'll need something like that. A blunt needle is actually better. I just happen to have only a pointy one at the moment. You can make the slippers 1 at a time or 2 at a time. I used to do everything 2 at a time because I would always end up with like the one sock problem. But lately I've been trying to just do 1 at a time. If you would like to use up your scraps and you only have a little bit of each one, I would divide them onto a scale. You know, check the weight of it on a scale, and then divide the amount of yarn in half, so that you have the same amount throughout the whole slipper. Like if you had just a little bit of yellow and you could use that in the toe, and you were using black as your other color, well then, you know, if black's your main color, then you can use up the yellow yarn until it runs out, and then the next color, red if you have it, or whatever your colors are. But just divide them by weight in half, and then you should be okay. Otherwise, in that case, I would do 2 at a time. I would have 2 different sets of needles, and you know, use up the yellow amongst the 2 until it's run out. And you know, you can do that pretty easily. My grandma used to do that all the time, just use up her scraps, because we went through slippers like crazy when I was a kid. Okay, so the other thing that you need to pretty much check is the gauge. Okay, so I did this little sample here on size 6 needles. Now my mom works on size 6 needles and comes out with this gauge. I did this with size 9 needles, and this is what we really want to end up with. Okay, so I left these. I should have actually, I normally would have just wound this yarn back on the ball, but I wanted to show you the difference in gauges and just the difference in knitters, which is why they always tell us to check our gauge, but nobody really likes to do it that well, do they? So what I did, instead of making a big piece like this, I just went for 3 sets of the pattern, so it's each block is 6 stitches. So you do 6 of green, 6 of purple, 6 of green, and then go 6 rows long, switch it over, do purple, green, and purple, switch it over, green, purple, green. So each one is 6 stitches across and 6 rows long. And then what I do is I just take the middle square and see how big it is, and we really want it to be an inch. This is just squashed down very slightly, but you want it to be an inch from edge to edge. Okay, and then that would also mean that it would be also an inch from top to bottom. And that's like perfect gauge to come up with slippers like these. Okay, so what I'm going to show you first is how to begin casting on the stitches. So I have this one slipper here. And actually where you're starting out is at the back. When you do them on the top of your needles, you're actually starting out at the top, at the back. So I'm going to try to come up with this yarn I had was one of those rolls that was purple, magenta, and pink. My niece likes pink, so I took out the magenta from the ball. So I just ended up with the pink and magenta with the green. My niece Autumn, she likes pink and green, so we're gonna go with that theme, and we'll make it a slipper to try to match that or be kind of close. These purple ones here, purple and blue, are from my niece Ember, and that's her twin sister, Autumn's twin sister. So hers kind of got, they weren't symmetrical either, because her ball yarn was 3 shades of purple and 3 shades of blue. Okay, so anyway, we're going to just start here by tying the 2 colors we're going to use together. Now, it's better to have something contrasting, black and white, light and dark. It's really hard when you have these 2 matching colors, like a green and then a green variegated, and put them together, because it's hard to see the pattern come out, and then it's also pretty hard to knit when they're different. So I would suggest just getting a lot of contrast into your colors. Okay, so I have tied together, and now I'm going to make on the one just a loop. Like we start everything crocheting or anything, you just start with the loop. I'll show you once more how I did that. I wrapped it with the one color only around my finger, and then pushed it up through the hole. Okay, so first I'm going to make 6 stitches. I'm going to add 6 stitches in the green. So everything's going to be in sets of 6. 6 stitches on 6 rows of the color. Okay, so we're going to put on 6 stitches. So we wrap around the needle and put it on the needle. So we keep the needle, we'll go under the green and under the needle. I'm going to get these little guys out, and just wrap it around, pull it through, and slip it on the top needle. Okay, so we're going to do that for 3 more times. It's a little awkward until we get like 1 or 2 blocks onto the needles, then it'll be much easier to handle. But slipping this beginning row on is a little tough. Okay, so we have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, now we're going to take the pink one, and we're going to pull it just a little. See how it's like, normally we wouldn't want it to pull, but in this case we need it to pull, because that's what helps make the puffiness. Okay, so we're going to pull out the pink one, and then we're going to just wrap it and put it on the needle. Pull it out and put it on the needle. So now we've got 2 pinks, 3 pinks, 4, 5, 6. Alright, now we're going to do 6 of green again, but now we've got green down here. So we want to pull it. Okay, we don't want it to just stay straight. We need to pull it And this is just the beginning of how you get the back of the slipper like this. Okay, so each time we switch colors, we're going to be pulling it over to the next place where we're going to start the next color. So it looks a little confusing right now, but we'll get there. You just have to watch how it happens. Then you'll be real happy when you get to do it yourself. Alright, so we're just going to put 6 more stitches of green. Now, I just kind of have an average number of blocks that we do for men or women slippers. So for instance, a lady's sock, we would add 11 blocks of these changes. So, you know, 1, 2, 3. So we would have like 8 more to go, right? So 11 blocks would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. And for kids, you just make them smaller. If you just know the size foot you're making, it works out about 2 inches more than the size of the foot. So if my foot's 8 inches, I would make it 10 inches long. And for our average man slipper, we do 12 blocks, 12 of these colors wide, and 12 blocks long, so it will be a 12 by 12 piece. We also have gone from 12 to 14 depending on the length of the man's size of his foot. And my mom, when she figures out how to do the children's sizes, she usually makes them 1 block less than the ladies, but it does depend on the size of the child. You know, so like somebody's 9 or 10, they can probably do fine with a size that's 10 by 10, but if they're smaller than that, you have to make them a little bit shorter. And it's just going to have to go by some practice or measuring feet and measuring how big one of your slippers comes out. Okay, so as we continue to cast on 6 stitches of the first color and then the second color, when you do this, you also want to make sure, let me show you, that you're bringing the yarn color that's coming up next underneath. Okay, so you want it to be underneath the one that just came off. So we'll do 6 more of the pink, and then I'll show it to you again. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now we're going to put the green on. So instead of just coming right over here, we're going to go under the pink. And our first one, we're going to pull a little bit. See, we just want to snug that up. Alright, because this helps keep it from getting holy where the color changes are. So now I'll do another 6 of the green. You can make these colors like in team colors or you name it. You can have a lot of fun, school colors. Okay, so here we are again. The pink is going to come under the green, and when we put the first stitch on, we're going to pull it. Alright, that helps begin the cushiness, they call it, the puffiness by pulling it together. If you don't pull it, you're going to end up with like a flat back, and then it'll just be like an Afghan or something. It won't be puffy like the slipper. And the puffiness makes the slipper really comfortable. Luxurious. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 color changes. So we need 5 more. So here we go with the green under the pink. Alright, oh, green under the pink, and then give it a snuggy little pull. Okay. I'm not a very fast knitter, and when I was taught by my mom and grandma, and they were left-handed knitters. Didn't seem to make any difference until sometimes now I find a pattern might be for right-handed knitting, but it's very easy to convert your mind over to what you're supposed to be knitting. And I'm not a picker, I'm a thrower. So I tried the picking method and I just can't seem to get it, and I always end up going back to this. But I guess one day if I really work at it. So people who are pickers, I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, we're going to pull the green under the pink. Okay. And give it a little snug pull. Okay, so now if I'm a thrower, I'm throwing my needle, the yarn over my needle. So, throwing the yarn over my needle. If I was doing it right-handed, I think it would be more awkward for me, but like this hand would be throwing the yarn over the needle. Now for a picker, you kind of hold the yarn at some sort of tension and then have the needle come around and pull it under like that. And some people can hold it really close to the needle and pick like crazy, and they're amazing when they do it. But it's not a very comfortable thing for me either. I guess I'll just keep watching some videos and try it when I can to try to get faster. But anyway, the process of knitting is what's important to me. It is a great anxiety and stress reliever. You have to concentrate. There's a regular motion to it. And you can be in a mindless place and still knit if the pattern's not too complicated, but it's just helps, especially you unwind at the end of the day. Okay, let me see what we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, one more block. So the green comes under, snug up that first stitch, pull it a little bit. Plus, like, if you can put your tension into the needles and the yarn and end up with a project, well, that's pretty darn nice. Okay, so now we have our 11 sets of 6 stitches each, and the colors are alternating. Sometimes I get carried away and I get lost doing, a 12 stitch block, so we gotta always double check that your colors are right. Okay, so for the first row, you twist the yarns with the color of the block you're working on, and it makes it possible to pull the tension on the second yarn from the beginning when you start the second block. So always take the color changing yarn beneath the color you are finishing. This will eliminate holes. Knit it all the way across and then change the colors as described until you have 6 stitches long. So alright, so we have the pink, but we want to have the pink crossing over the green, but we bring the green up first. Okay, and you need to do that because we're going to be pulling the pink one in the next 6 stitches. So the first stitch is usually a little tight for me because you have to make sure you aren't going to get a hole. Alright, so we're going to knit those 6 stitches. Okay. Now you put your needle in the pink one, and then here's the green one. Or the pink one's going to come under the green one, but it's already attached here where we did the twist. So we give that a little tug, and that helps pull up the side piece, and it'll be more apparent as we get a few more rows on here. Okay, now for the green switch, we're going to pull the green under the pink, wrap it around and pull it tight, and then relax when you do the rest of the 5 stitches. Okay, now we're going to switch back to the pink, but we're going to pull it underneath the green. Alrighty, now you'll see that there's this loopy stuff happening on the bottom. Well, this is actually going to be the back of your slipper where we're going to sew it together, and those will fold right into the seam, so you don't have to worry about that, and that's like a normal thing. In fact, if you get that, that's what we want. Okay, now the green we're going to pull under the pink, give it a tug, make it a tight stitch, and get the rest of those 6. Okay, get to the pink, pull it under the green. Okay, so next we're on green. So it's going to get pulled under the pink. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the pink, so we'll pull that under the green, give it a little snug tug. Now we're on to the green. Now we're up to the pink, pull it under the green. And one more set of 6 and we'll be done with our first row. Under the pink, green under the pink. Okay, and things get twisted on every row because you're twisting the colors of the yarn. Okay, so that's how the first row looks. Now we're going to go on to the back. Now, the next, because we're on the back, the stitches will get pulled on this side that's facing you, and this is the front side of the slipper. So what you need to do is bring the yarn under the first color that you're going to use, under the one that's next, so the green under the pink, and we will be out here on this side using the yarn for 6 stitches. So first stitch, as usual, we're going to give it a little tug and do 6 stitches of just regular knitting of the green. Okay, now we're going to take this green and pull it back to the back between the needles And the pink color will be, we have to twist it under the green and put it back to the front through those needles. So I'll do that and then I'll show it to you again. Give it a little tug and you knit 6 stitches. So now we want to come back, because if we drag it on the front, the line will be there. So we have to bring the pink back and then bring the green up under the pink through the needles to the front. Okay, so now we're going to pull on it a little bit and knit those 6 stitches. I'll keep showing this to you so you get it, because it's like, what? But what's happening is our back is getting this pulled thread on it and the front is staying smooth like knitted stitches. Okay, so now we've got the green, so we're going to bring the green to the back and the pink under the green, because that's our one we're going to knit with next, and get it out to the front between the 2 needles. Give it a little pull and knit those 6 stitches. Alright, and this is row 2, so okay, so we're gonna bring the pink back, put the green forward underneath the pink, pull it tight, and knit those 6. So the rest of this slipper is just knitting on both sides, but on the one side you have to pull the thread in another direction. That's all there is to these, just those 2 rows over and over, except when you get to the end of those 6 rows of color, you have to switch the colors so that they are alternating blocks. And we'll get to that after we get 6 rows knitted of this. So we're almost done with row 2. Alright, so we just did the pink, that comes back, and the green goes forward through the needles. Give it a tug on the first stitch and knit. Sometimes things get tangled before the end of the row, so just gently, undo everything. Put your finger in there and just separate the threads. Okay, bring the pink back, bring the green forward between the needles, wrap it tight on the first one, and then relax and knit the others. This would be a fun pattern to take to the pub. They do pub knitting now, and while you sit and talk to people, you can also be making a hat, socks, whatever. This would be a conversation piece for the pub to just show how to make these slippers. I'm going to put a pattern down below for you that we're making up with pictures and everything, so it will help you. And then you'll always have this video to come back to too. Sometimes it's nice to have a pattern though. And if you're going to the pub, you can show how you do it on there. Okay, so that's the end of that row. Okay, so we are beginning to see how we are getting the pulling threads in the back and the finished side of the blocks on the front. Okay, so I'm just gonna knit 4 more rows for you, put on a little music, and you can watch it if you want, or you can speed it up if you want, but I just wanted it to all be there so you had it if you needed to refer to it. The 6 color rows will look like 3 ridges on the right side, and if you don't complete the 6th row, your color change will show up on the right side. So before I finish those 4 more rows, I want to show you I saved some of my mistakes, okay? So normally what you want is the checkerboard effect, 6 rows of one color and 6 of the other. And when you are switching the colors, which I'll show you in a moment after I get these 4 more rows done, you need to have this side facing you. So when you switch the colors of the rows, like this one should have the pink, but we ended up with a green stitch in there. Doesn't affect the use of the slipper, so I just left it alone because I got too far, like say on this one. Okay, I didn't have this facing me, so this side has to be facing you. This is the right side. So when you're switching your colors, you need to have that side facing you if you want to get everything to come out perfect like this. But if you happen to have it this way, and then you change the colors from pink to green and all that, you will end up with this look, okay? Obviously I did it twice on here, so I was like, oh man, that's ridiculous. So I just want you to know you have to have this side facing you if you want to come out with a look like this, okay? Even on the sample I screwed it up. I had it, this was my for gauge, so it didn't matter, but I must have had it this way when I switched the colors. So we just need to remember that that's like something we need to look out for. Okay, so I'm just gonna start here. This is the 3rd row, so I'm gonna stick it in the green one. Now I've got green coming off the back here and pink, and I want to bring the green under the pink so we have like a loop there. That way when we're doing the pink, it's gonna yank the green over this way, and that's what's going to make it puffy. Okay, so I'll do it again. The green goes under the pink. The color you're working on goes underneath the other color. Okay, and now the first one is a little hard to get going, but you want to pull it a little tighter. Alright, so we'll just go down the row here. Just do 6 stitches of the green. Okay, now we need to switch over to the pink. So we're going to pull the pink under the green. There's the green. Pull it under the green, and then do 1 stitch where you snug it up, little tug, and then just knit the 5 other stitches. All of them are knit stitches. Okay, now we're ready for green. We're going to pull it under the pink. Always pull it under. It matters. I'm not usually picky about a lot of things, but in this case you will get a hole, and your slippers won't be as puffy if you don't pull it under and give the first stitch a tug. Okay, so we got the pink going under the green, give it a tug, and then knit the rest. You can play this video over and over till you get it to look like that. Oops, almost made a mistake there. Okay, so into the green, pull the green stitch, the green thread under the pink, give it a tug, make that stitch a little tighter because you don't want a hole. You'll find out as you do these that you will get a hole, and you'll see it, and then you'll understand why you have to give it the tug. Alright, there's the pink. I like to knit these while I'm watching TV or a movie because, I mean, I can pay attention to two things at once, but especially if it's a tense movie, you know, something scary. I get the slippers done faster. Okay, so now I need the green under the pink. Give it a tug. This first set of blocks is a little harder to get than the rest, but you got to start somewhere, so get those down and then you'll be smooth sailing. Okay, pull the pink under the green. Little tug. Okay, now we're going to go back to the back. We're going to start with the green, but we have to put the green under the pink. Give that one a little tug because you don't want that to get loose on the end. Okay, I'm going to bring it through these two needles and bring the pink one up and under and through. Okay, so that's 4 rows. And I'm going to make 2 more, and then we'll be able to switch to the next color. I'm going to switch these to get the green under the pink. And now the color change stays, or the yarn changes stay on the back. That'll be a faster row. Okay, I just need one more row. I'll show you how to count these. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. This is kind of really 5 because that was our first one that doesn't show up quite right. But you count the bumps in the row. So this is the one row, this is the other row. So there's 2, 4, and then this one didn't have a bump because it was the first row. Okay, so now we're back to the back of it facing us again, and we have to get the green under the pink and pull it around to the front. Okay, this will pull later. So 6 rows of 6 more stitches of green. And bring this back between the needles and the pink up from underneath the green and pull. And it's gonna, the pulling helps this curved part happen. Otherwise it will be flat out. If it's flat out, it's not right. So by your 4th and 5th stitches, you need to see this curling in, and then you'll know you're pulling hard enough on that first stitch when you change the color. Through the needles, pull the pink up. Tug on it a little bit. Green under the pink. Give it a tug. Okay, and since this is a beginner's stitch, really, it's just only knitting. You're not making cables, purls, anything like that. I would suggest doing a dishcloth first to get the knitting stitch down, and then when you get to the slippers you can work on pulling the colors tighter in the back, and also how to make the pattern change to make it a checkerboard square. But at least making a couple dishcloths will help you get the just plain knitting down. And you could definitely move right to this. Just keep watching the video. And you know, it's like a quilt. If you look at the whole thing, it's pretty overwhelming. Same thing when you look at the whole slipper, it's kind of overwhelming. But really, you can only knit it one stitch at a time. You can only make a quilt one patch at a time. So you can do this. You just have to focus, watch the directions, and practice. It's all practice. You can do it. Pink goes under here. Oops. Yeah, I pulled those out by accident, so here we go. We just have to thread them back in. The last 6 stitches saved. Yay! I need to get more yarn out through here. Okay, so the green comes under and through the needles. Give it a tug. Okay, so now we have 6 rows. 2, 4, 6. See? 1, 2. Okay, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Now we're ready to change the color on the top to make the checkerboard. So we want to put pink over green and green over pink. Okay? So let's just untwist this yarn for a second. Make it less confusing. Now we know that the way that it has to face you is this way up in order to not get this jog line in there. Okay, so the right side is now facing us. But I can't just take this, well, green's not the next color, pink is. But we gotta make the pink go under the green. Okay. That'll be important for the next color. Alright, so now we go into the green. And we've got our pink pulled underneath. And we really want to give that a snug fit. So we wrap it over the needle tightly and pull it through. And slide it off. Okay. Now the next 5 will just be pink regular tension. Just knit them off. Okay, so now we have pink over green. Now we need the green to be next. So it's already wrapped around this pink back here. So it's already going to be tense. So just pull it tight and knit those 6 stitches in green. When you do the switch rows, you have to pay attention a little bit because it's easy to get carried away and keep going. Alright, now we're going to pull the pink under the green, just like we did before. Nothing's different, except we're switching the colors over. Okay, and then pull the green under the pink. And we're just going to go for the whole row like that. Just going to alternate what's on top now. Alright, green is next under the pink. And just so you can see, as we've changed these colors, we did not get this. Okay, so we are in the right we're in the right place because there's no extra little colors in there. Okay, I want the pink now. Green comes under the pink. And we're getting the right look here on the back of our work. Okay, you can see how the stitches are pulling. That's really perfect. That's what we want. Pink comes under the green, give it a tug. And then the last one, pink comes under the green. Alrighty, now we've got it, we'll double check it just so we have the alternating color there. And now we're going to come back and do row 2. So this is the same as everything we've already done. The green or the pink is going to be next, so we're going to pull the pink under the green. The beginning of the row you have to wrap it around the next one, so it'll be able to pull against it. Okay, pull the pink through the needles. And we got the green coming up under the pink. And that's how we're going to do it the rest of the slipper. Just those 2 rows, one side then the other. And after 6 rows of the block, then you switch the colors on the top of it to make it a checkerboard square. Okay? So, just do another stitch here so I don't get lost. Okay. So here is our checkerboard starting to form. Okay? When we've got 4 more rows on top of that, it'll look like this. Just remember, hold it this way. This has to face you when you're going to switch the colors on the top. Alright, so after you get your 12 rows of 12 blocks, so you're going to have 12 of these, then we'll show you how to sew your slipper together. It's really kind of fun, and I don't think you'll meet anyone who doesn't want a pair of these. Okay, happy knitting. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Okay, now I'm almost done knitting this slipper. I have 2 more rows to go. And this is for Ember, and it's got a girl slipper, and well, she's 14, and so she's got big feet, and so she has 11 blocks here across and 11 down. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we're going to go 11 this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10 and a half. Okay, so I'm going to show you just the last 2 rows so you can see how we do the back of the slipper and the front of the slipper. Okay, so now these 2 rows, my next row is going to be purple still. So I need to be able to make a situation where I'm going to have some ability to pull on the string, pull on the yarn. So I wrap the purple yarn under the blue, and then I turn it over and I just knit like usual. So I'm going to knit these 6 stitches in purple. Okay, now I don't want to drag this yarn on top of the front, so I pull it back. It was on the front. I'm going to pull it back between that needles, and now I'm going to pull up the blue. And the blue, we did wrap it around the purple, so the purple would have something to pull to make the stitch puff up. Okay, so sometimes this gets tangled in here. Just pull it up so you can work on it. You only have to go a short way and you'll be able to unwind everything. Okay, so the blue is going to go, here's the purple that I just pulled back. The blue always goes under the one you just did so that you can pull it tight. So you always pull the color you're going to do next under the stitch ahead of it, the color head. Okay, so now I'm going to put my needle in and I'm going to give it a tug. I'm not going to break the yarn, but I'm going to pull it pretty tight and knit that first stitch pretty tight, and then just relax and knit the rest of the blue. But you sort of need to give it that tug so it pulls up and makes it puffy. If you don't pull on it, it'll just lay flat and you won't get the same fluffy slippers. Okay, so now I'm done with the blue. I'm going to pull it back through the needles, and I'm going to pull the purple one under the blue. Here's the blue, here's the purple, underneath the blue. Okay, then we put your needle in there and give it a tug, because you want to pull that purple and blue spot together or it'll make a hole. Then you knit the stitch and relax and knit the other purple ones. That's the biggest trick of these, is to keep the tension under there to make the puffiness. Okay, I just finished the purple. I'm going to pull it back between the needles, and the blue one I'm going to pull under the purple. Stick your needle in, pull it, give it a tug, and knit that stitch nice and tight, and then relax it and knit the rest. Once you get a little bit of the knitting on your needles, it's easier than when you start out. Okay, so now I'm going to pull the blue back through the needles, pull the purple under the blue, and then I'm going to put my needle in there in the first stitch, give it a tug, knit it tight, and then relax and knit the rest. Okay, going to pull the purple back between the needles and pull the blue under the purple, and out to the other side. Put the needle in, give it a tug, knit it tight, and then relax. Sometimes my fingers get sore because pulling it through and getting that first tight stitch off the needle, but it goes away. Okay, pull the blue back between the needles, pull the purple under the blue, Give it a tug, knit it tight, and then relax. And then every now and then I have to untangle this down here because it gets a little tight. Just put your finger between the two threads and you can kind of get it to give you a couple more inches. Okay, I gotta knit one more purple. Pull the purple through, pull the blue under. Okay, knit that first one tight. Now relax and knit the others. Okay, we just got 3 more sets, so pull the purple under the blue. Alright. It's fun when you start getting to the end of the row. When my mom knits these, she does 1 block at a time, so she'll do 6 rows and then stop. That way your fingers don't get too sore, and takes her a couple weeks to make the slippers that way, but that's okay. It's a good process. Alrighty, pull it back, pour the purple under. This is the last block. Still have to keep it tight. Okay. Slide them down. I really like making these on circular needles because I don't have a lot of space near the arm of my chair, and it's just easier for me. And I've gotten used to circular needles because I do a lot of hats, so it's just the way. And so then I like because I can push them down on the needles, on the cables. Okay, so we're gonna turn it over, and now we need 1 more row. So this is the front of the work, really. But back here, we have the blue back here, and we have the purple here, and it would be really great to just start with the purple, but you have to pull the purple under the blue so that when you start working on the blue, it has a way to make the tension here to make your stitch puffy. Okay, so I'll do that again. Get the purple here. You always want to go under with the color you're knitting next. Okay, so take the blue, put it over the purple, make this little crisscrossy. Okay, and then we're going to start to knit the purple. Now what that will do is also give us a little bit of pull so you can scrunch up the stitch. Get it out on the needles here. Alright, and there's the blue yarn, and here's the purple, and we want to pull the blue up to where the purple is because we won't be able to pull on that later. Alrighty, so first stitch of purple. I make it a little snug because I wanted to keep that blue thread up there. This is where my fingers get sore pulling it off. Okay, so now just go ahead and keep the blue out of the way. I have a knot in here because I had to add yarn. But just knit those purple stitches off, the first ones. Keep the knot down and the threads down if you have a knot. And I'll show you how that'll work out. Mostly you don't want a knot in the middle of where the foot's going to be, you know, where you step, because you'll step on the knot. The cushiony part will probably hide that knot, but I don't really want to feel that knot. Okay, so we just finished the purple, and now the blue was twisted under up here, And now we're going to take the blue and put it under the purple. Stick your needle in the blue, give it a tug, because it's the first stitch of that color. Alrighty. And that's going to help puff it up. Alrighty, and then you just go ahead and knit the rest of the blue. Alrighty. Now we're going to take the purple and pull it under the blue. Always under, because you don't want a hole. Stick it in the purple there, give it a tug, make that a tight stitch because you don't want a hole, and then relax and do these other purple stitches. Let's see if you see better this way. Okay, so that's the end of the purple block. Now we take the blue yarn and pull it under the purple. The good thing about this row, when it's facing you and you're working on the right side, is the yarn all stays on the back and you don't have to pull it through the needles back and forth. Okay, so now we're going to do purple. The purple yarn goes under the blue and pull. And then knit it. And as we pull those, that's what makes this puffiness happen. You don't want to pull it till it breaks, but you want to really make sure you got it snug so that you don't get a hole and so it pulls it up. Okay, now we're back to the blue, so we're going to put our needle in and pull the blue under the purple. The color you're working on always goes under the color that just got knitted. It's important because you'll get a hole if you don't. Alright, now we're ready for purple again. So we put the purple under the blue and give it a tug. Okay, now the blue goes under the purple. Three more blocks to go and we're done with this slipper. Okay, so we put it in the purple, pull the purple under the blue, give it a tug, and get a tight stitch, and then relax and move on with the other ones in that color. Ready for the last blue one. Okay, so we pulled it under, gave it a tug. Okay, now this is the last one, so we pull the purple under the blue, give it a tug, a tight stitch, and then relax and knit the rest off. Okay, there you have it. You have now completed your 11 by 11 blocks to make this cool slipper. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna show you how to sew the toe and slipper. So I take both strands of yarn and I give myself, 3 feet or so. And when you normally knit, you just bind off the stitches in the regular cast-off way. But when you make a hat, you take this last yarn here and move the stitches off the needle onto this yarn and then pull it tight. And it's the same kind of idea with the toe. So we're gonna pull all the stitches off one by one onto this needle and then slide them onto the yarn and then pull them tight, and that will give you this beautiful fun toe. It's like the top of a hat. Just have to thread my needle. My mom has a yarn needle threader. That is the greatest thing. I'll have to get one of those. Okay. Now, my mom usually just uses, she'll cut this strand and leave it hang and then knot it in later, and just take the yarn off on the one strand of yarn. I just take them off on both because it seems to me like it would be stronger. Although in all the years, like I said, of having these slippers, the toes never opened up on me, even when I was a kid and wore them like out like a banshee. We used to like sliding up and down the hardwood floors on these, made it like skates. Okay, so I pulled off the first 6 onto the needle. And I just pull them up a little snug. It's easier to pull them a little bit at a time because it gets to be a lot of tension on the yarn. So I just do it like that. Alright, and I'm just taking them off onto the needle. And I do one color or 2 colors at a time, whatever I feel like. It doesn't help to take them all off at once because then it's too much to slide them all together. And as we do this, you can see the yarn is starting to pull them together and they're going to get like a rounded look. Okay. You gotta be careful if you're using a pointy needle like I have that you don't split the yarn. You want that whole piece of yarn to be on the yarn that's sliding everything. You don't want to split it or it'll get weird. Okay. You gotta get the stitches close to the tip of the needle to get them off, but you don't want the other ones to slide off accidentally because, you know, then you'll have to fetch it. Okay. There we go. And split it, there we go. Just kind of wiggle them down. See, we're getting there. Isn't that cool? It looks like it's something hard to do, but it actually is one of the easiest things of these slippers, right? Okay, 3 more blocks. Last two. Yay. Okay. Okay, so now what it would, I got this knot right at the toe, so that's perfect because it'll not bother anything. And we see how it will close over like that, but you have to sew it from the inside. So you gotta flip it. And give it a really good pull because that's gonna be the last time you can pull that hole closed. And let's see. Alright, gonna give it another pull there. I'm gonna match up my lines where the colors go, two purple ones together, and then right here at the end where the stitches closed over, we're gonna put the needle in and sew. Now I usually sew 1 or 2 stitches right there because it is a point of tension. And this is my knotted thread. I'm just going to leave that hang there a minute. Okay, and just going to work about 4 or 5 stitches per color. And each one I'm going to pull tight because I want to make sure they don't open up. Now, I'm sewing down and I'm going over the top. So here's my next color. The blues go together. So I go in, I can feel a ridge where we pulled those edge yarns together when we made the slipper to make it puff up. And so on the top part, I follow that 1/4 of an inch about, and I just stick my needle in under that, and then I pull the thread over the top. So it's like over sewing. This method's always worked for us to keep them together, and you don't really tear or open up once we sew them like this. And then after you wash them, things tighten up a little bit and it holds the stitches in good. And we wash our slippers a lot. Okay, now we're going to match up the purple squares and sew them. It's pretty important to get those squares matched up as close as you can because it's sort of what makes the checkerboard look on the slipper. Okay, next is the blue. The threads get not, like they feel like they aren't going to come through, just pull them back and then pull them through. It kind of undoes the twist that it gets when it's coming through. Now to get your foot in, you have to leave a hole for your foot to go in the slipper, and that has, even on any size, it seems like it needs to be 5 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I just have to sew this purple one and this blue one, and then we'll leave 5 holes open, 5 squares. Almost there. This fabric that you knit is pretty forgiving, so you can kind of stretch it around to get it to match up good. Okay, the last one. And then get down to the end. The last stitch I do over 1 or 2 times and then make a knot because that's going to take a lot of wear and tear from the wearer, as they put their foot in there. That's a high tension point. Okay, so now I'm there. I'm gonna over sew it twice, and then on the third time I'm going to go through the loop and make a knot. Gets a little harder to pull that last one through because you got like a whole bunch of stitches in a little place. But you can do it. There we go. Okay, so now we see this is the loop that's closing down. We're going to put the needle through it and then pull it really tight. And we're going to fish this needle up through the top of the stitches for a couple blocks, and that's going to bury the yarn and also keep that knot kind of tight in there. Alright. Sometimes you gotta pull these back because they get too thick on themselves. Come on, you. There. Okay, so got it through, and we pulled it up tight, but we didn't make it gather the slipper. Alright, take my magic unicorn scissors and clip it. Okay, so now we're down to the heel. Okay, so same deal. We're gonna like match up the blocks and sew it, but at the top of the heel I tie a knot really tight because this is another point of tension for when you slide your slipper on. Okay, so we're gonna go up to the top of this, top of the heel. I'm gonna tie a knot twice. Okay, now instead of trimming this off here, I'm just going to make these tails incorporate down into my sewing. Okay, so I'm going to match up those boxes. Alright, and we're just going to over sew this just like we did the top of the slipper, but the back of the slipper has all these loopy things from edges from when we started the row. So you gotta sew down in a little deeper. Gotta make sure you're getting the knitted material there. So I want to pull it, but I don't want to gather the heel down, you know, so we're just going to keep over sewing, taking a little bit deeper cut, and we lay all these looser strings that we had down in that seam, and they're going to get incorporated and sewn down in there. It'll actually keep the yarns from getting loose and fraying. It doesn't stick out. It might actually make a little bit more cushiony kind of feel on the heel. Okay. Keep matching up your colors, your blocks on the way down. And that's the greatest way to keep it even. Okay, now match the blues up. And we'll still keep sewing those threads down. That way we don't have to trim anything, and we know it won't ravel out. And there is another way to finish this heel off so it gets more boxy. You can push up the last 3 boxes and sew it like a Y, so it looks almost like a triangle at the bottom of the heel. I don't really do that because it doesn't seem to make it a better slipper for me, but it's just an option if you want to try that. Everybody that knits a lot has their own finishing ways. So okay, so now I'm down here at the bottom and I'm going through a second time and through through the loop. And I'll do that once more because the back of the heels really gets hammered down when you walk. Okay, and then I'm going to fish this thread, this yarn up 3 or 4 stitches. It doesn't go very deep. I don't want it to show on the outside, but it's enough to bury the yarn. Alright, there we go. Pull it tight, but don't gather it up. And there's another little hairy piece. I'll just cut those off. Okay, here we go. Now if you don't like those sticking out, I mean, you could trim those off. Just don't cut the slipper. Okay, so we're turning out the heel, and I push it all out with my finger from the inside, and I also stretch it to make sure we don't have anything coming apart. Now that's a little bit on the loose side right there. So I think I want to go back in and fix that. And I'm only going to fix it by just putting an extra tied stitch in there. And what I'll do is I'll just tie it and trim it. I don't know that won't come out. Alright, let's flip it out again. Looks better. Okay, now I'm going to turn the toe. And I'm going to push out, you know, along those seams too, to make sure they aren't going to pull out. And ta-da! We got the next slipper, the pair for this one. And so since this was a one of those cakes of yarn that had various colors, purples and blue. One was purple, shades of purple, and the other was shades of blue. So these don't come out like symmetrical, but they come out pretty cool looking. And Ember, she likes blue and purple, so I think she'll like wearing these. Okay. Thanks for watching. You have a Razzle Dazzle day and happy knitting.